Let's continue with our chapter number 4th of new NCERT Polity. We are already done with the first part of it. This is the second part. If you haven't taken yesterday's session, if you haven't studied from yesterday's session, I really urge you that you do that after this session. Otherwise, you will not understand a lot of things that we have already studied yesterday. But before we start, could you confirm if I'm audible and visible to all of you? Yes. Am I audible and visible to all of you? Hello, Rahul. Nanny Gaming, okay. Ananya, yes, good evening. Yes, good evening everyone. Anil, Ashish, yes, good evening all of you. Will all the subjects be covered? Yes, we'll try to cover all the subjects. For now, we are continuing with polity, and after this we will cover geography first, and maybe we'll cover few, for example, all the chapters from few classes first, from one subject, so that you don't get bored and it does not get monotonous. But we'll try to cover everything. So don't worry about it. Just be on time in the class, and whatever I'm teaching you, pay attention to that so that your concepts are strong. Yes. Yes, good evening. So I'm assuming that I'm audible and visible to all of you. Can somebody confirm this, please? Then we can start the session. I am. All right, great. So let's continue with the 4th chapter. We were done with this part, and don't worry about the PDF. As I told you earlier, when a chapter is divided into several parts, I always try that after we are done with the entire chapter, I will ask the team to get you the PDF in Telegram group. So you'll get the PDF of this chapter today, because today we'll be done with this chapter. All right. All right, great. Let's get started then. We were done until here. We had already discussed one party, two party and multi-party system. What were the merits and demerits of multi-party system? Which party system is the best? We are done with that as well. And this is something I told you yesterday about popular participation in political parties, which simply means that in India, it's an interesting picture. People do believe that there is corruption definitely in politics or political parties in India, and yet they participate. It's not like they know that the political party are not going to change, so they would not engage or participate in democracy. They would not engage with political parties. It's not like that. They know that there can be corruption in the system, but still they participate and they engage with the system so that they can be democratic, you can say. They can exercise their rights. So in India, even though people criticize political parties and may not trust them completely, they participate in the political process. So that's a peculiar feature, especially for India. Okay, let's continue. So we were done until here. Next is which party is the best. We're done with this as well. National party. So in the last class, that is yesterday, I asked you the definition of national party and state party, and a lot of you have already answered. I saw Prabhanu's answer also. Now I know your name because you have answered so many questions that I just remember your name now. And Ananya, I do remember a few students' name who are always regular in the class and are on time. So the rest of you, please be on time, be regular in the class, so that we can develop a bond as well. And if you have any questions, you can always drop them down in the comment section below. And before I start the session, for those of you who are new, we have our new NCERT series, 6 p.m. sharp every day from Monday to Friday. So do not miss the classes and be on time. All right, let's get started. Yes, beta, you have to watch it again. The grammar of anarchy that you're saying, after telling you about grammar of anarchy, whatever I said, it's the definition of grammar of anarchy. Okay, watch the video again, you will understand. All right, let's continue. So for national parties and state parties, there are certain conditions that should be fulfilled, that must be fulfilled for a party to be called national party and for a party to be called state parties. Please hold on to your questions. I will answer your questions in a while. Let's look at these conditions, and at the end, I'll tell you which of these is the most important condition that you must remember. So for example, a political party to be recognized as national party by the Election Commission of India, it has to satisfy any one of these conditions. So there are 3 conditions. It has to satisfy any one of these conditions. The first is it secures at least 6% of the valid votes in Lok Sabha or Legislative Assembly elections in 4 or more states and wins at least 4 seats in Lok Sabha. So what exactly is it? First, 6% of valid votes in Lok Sabha, 6% of valid votes in Lok Sabha, plus, I mean by plus I mean either this, or it can have elections, legislative assembly elections in 4 or more states. So just remember 6, 4 and 4. From this you can remember it, right? The first mnemonic or the trick is 644. So 6% of valid votes in Lok Sabha, or 6% of valid votes in legislative assembly or of 4 or more states. This for 4 or more states, and at least 4 seats in Lok Sabha, right? So the first condition is 644, that is, it secures at least 6% of valid votes in Lok Sabha or legislative assembly elections in 4 or more states, and along with this has to be 4 seats in the Lok Sabha. That is first condition. Second condition is it wins at least 2% of total seats in the Lok Sabha, and these members are elected from at least 3 different states. So the first condition is this. If it could not fulfill this one, the second condition would be to have 2% of total seats in Lok Sabha, and these members are elected from at least 3 different states, plus they are elected from 3 different states. So 2, 3. The first condition is, see, you have to remember this and be very, very attentive here, otherwise you will forget it. It's a little complicated. So first is 644. That means 6% of the valid votes in Lok Sabha or legislative assembly from 4 or more states, and along with this there should be 4 seats in Lok Sabha. If that could not be done, then the second condition is at least 2% of total seats in Lok Sabha, and along with it these members must be elected from at least 3 different states. If that could not be done, then this should be recognized as a state party in at least 4 states. So these are the 3 conditions. If any party fulfills any of these conditions, even one of these conditions, that will be considered a national party, right? So you will remember 644. If that could not be done, then 3-2. If that could not be done, then it has to be a state party in at least 4 states, right? Next, what is the condition for a party to be called state party? A political party is recognized as a state party by the Election Commission of India if it fulfills, again, any one of the following. So there are different conditions given, and it has to follow only any one of these following. First is it secures 6% of the valid votes in election to the legislative assembly of the state and wins at least 2 seats in the assembly. So 6% plus 2 seats in the assembly, that is the first condition. If that could not be fulfilled, then 6% of the valid votes in Lok Sabha election from that state and 1 Lok Sabha seat. So 6% of valid votes from Lok Sabha of that state plus 1 Lok Sabha seat. 1 Lok Sabha seat. If that could not be fulfilled, then it wins at least 3% of total seats in the legislative assembly or at least 3 seats, whichever is higher. Either 3% of the total seats in the legislative assembly or 3 seats, whichever is higher, or it wins at least 1 Lok Sabha seat for every 25 Lok Sabha seats allotted to any state or any fraction of that state. And the last is it secures at least 8% of the total valid votes polled in the state in either Lok Sabha elections or legislative assembly. Now see, this is very confusing, of course, because there are so many things that you need to remember, and how would you remember it? That's the point. Usually questions are asked, especially in UPSC, usually questions are asked from these conditions, and that is only given in your NCERTs also. For state party, 6% of votes in assembly elections plus 2 assembly seats. For national party, 6% of votes in Lok Sabha or assembly elections in 4 seats and at least 4 Lok Sabha seats. Just remember this much for now. That is more than sufficient. But in any case, in PDF, all the conditions are given. Once you read them again and again, you will be able to remember it. Its static portion is just factual. If you're writing state exams, then those facts can definitely help you. So that is specially for state exams. It's given in the PDF. You'll get the PDF, read it again and again, you'll understand. Yes. Next is, now comes the important part. These are some of the national parties that have been given, right? Like Aam Aadmi Party, again I have included that in PDF, not very important for us, or Bahujan Samaj Party, or Bharatiya Janata Party, or Communist Party of India, Marxist, CPIM, or Indian National Congress, I'm sure you know about this, and NNP, National People's Party. So those are the, again, factual stuff. It won't be asked, but since it is given in your NCERT, I have included in PDF. You can go through it once, that's it. That is more than sufficient. This is the part that is extremely important. This can be directly asked in prelims as well as in mains. You can be given a question to write. So what are the challenges to a political parties? Before we read this slide, you tell me, what are the challenges to a political party? You have read about political parties. What challenges do they face? Yes. इनमें से एक होगा. Okay, so you're asking if either one of them is fulfilled, then they will be called a national party, or both of them have to be fulfilled. Now the condition that I gave you, both of them have to be fulfilled. The options were given from the other slide. You can read that slide. Yes, now I'll be slow. See, all those parts that I just told you, they were simply facts, not very important for us, at least for UPSC, not very important. Now is the part where you have to understand. So I'm going to be slow so that you can understand easily. Yes. Lack of thinking. What does that mean, beta? What do you mean by lack of thinking? Yes. See, we keep on talking about democracy, and that means that everybody has equal chance to express themselves, right? But in political parties themselves, if they are not functioning democratically, let's say some of the leaders are always taking all the decisions, then it is not democratic, and that is lack of internal democracy, that the power is concentrated within the hands of few leaders, only the top few leaders, and the rest of it is just making the party but actually not contributing into it, and that is a challenge. Because the whole point of having a political party was people from different walks of life would be a part of that political party, and they will be representing all the issues that actually people are facing. But if there are only 2 or 3 or 4 people who are making and taking all the decisions, then what's the point of having a political party where there are different members? It's just for the namesake. So that's first problem. Yes, that's first problem. Okay, what else? What else could be the problem? Next is lack of membership records, irregular organizational meetings. See, this is called lack of internal democracy. I will answer your questions. Please focus on this first. Internal elections are either absent or they are not conducted. So again, what does that do? That simply keeps the power in the hands of few leaders, which are always making the decisions, which are always taking steps, right? They do not have membership records. That is another problem. Then sometimes personal loyalty becomes more important than the ideology itself. So let's say a party has a specific ideology because of which it won, but people, the members specifically become personally loyal to some leaders rather than the ideology itself. So they will never question them. But questioning was essential. Dissent is essential in a democracy. So that is also a problem, right? What else? All these reasons, they weaken the internal democracy of any political party, and that is the first problem or the first challenge that political parties have. Let me sum it up. First is the lack of internal democracy. What does that mean? That simply means that power gets concentrated in the hands of the few leaders, and other members become more loyal to those leaders rather than the party itself, rather than the ideology of party itself. Meetings are not happening regularly, internal elections are not happening regularly, because of which power is always concentrated in the hands of few leaders, and the rest of the leaders are simply for namesake. So that is lack of democracy within the party itself, lack of internal democracy, and that is the first challenge or first problem. Propaganda place permission is needed from government, ideology differences. Okay, proper elections could not conduct inside the party. Yes, so we have already discussed that. All right, great. Money and muscle power during elections. Yes, we will talk about that as well. Next problem that is there, next challenge that is there in political parties is dynastic succession. What does that mean? That, like I told you, right now there is a political party, let's say, and the power is there in the hands of few people, and the power will not go anywhere else later in the next generation. The power will still remain in the hands of the families of these people. So that is dynastic succession, that leadership often remains within families. It is not given to other people. So again, lack of democracy. This is also lack of democracy. Otherwise, ordinary workers have limited opportunities to rise because of this. Family members always enjoy unfair advantage. We keep talking about nepotism. It is happening everywhere, in politics also. Then sometimes because of this, because you belong to a particular family that has political ties or political history, inexperienced members or who are not supposed to be leaders also, they come to such position, they rise to such position. So sometimes inexperienced people occupy important position because they belong to a family. That is already there in politics. So that is another problem. This is called dynastic succession. Succession means it is going in family only, and dynastic succession means the whole power, the idea of power keeps moving on from one member to another member within the family. That is dynastic succession. Next, money and muscle power, like I think Ananya said this, right? Yeah. So money and muscle power, what does that mean? Usually we have seen political parties, what they do is they would normally use vote politics. They'll use money, they'll use tactics, they'll use promises to win elections. But is that helping anyone? No, it is not. So political parties often prioritize winning elections rather than solving problems of India or problems of the country. Or this is why they select wealthy candidates also, because you need money to fund these things, right? So they select wealthy candidates. They also depend on corporate funding, and sometimes they support criminal candidates. All these are these are the problems of political parties. So when we talk about money, so they select wealthy candidates or depend on corporate funding. Muscle power, they go for criminal candidates as well. They prioritize winning elections over anything else. So that is another problem with political parties. What another challenge that they are facing? What are the other challenges that they are facing? Lack of meaningful choice. What does that mean? See, now I told you in the last class that in democracy, when we talk about elections, a very important feature of election is that you should have true choice. And choice really happens when different people have different ideologies. Now let's say everybody is talking the same thing. Everybody is making the same kind of promises. Everybody is using the same language. There are no ideological differences. So you don't really have true choice in that case. So that is another challenge in political parties, because everybody is trying to win. They're just saying things that people would agree on. There is no ideological difference. And because the ideas or principles of political parties have reduced over time, true choices is lost. The true choice is lost. Next, similar economic policies. Like I told you, everybody is making the same kind of promises. Everybody is giving the same economic policies or different policies to attract investment or to get growth or implement same kind of welfare schemes. Again, lack of choice. Next is politicians frequently switch party. Now because of this, anti-defection law was brought, right? We will talk about that as well. That is also given in this chapter. So once politicians win an election from one party, they start switching parties because the other party is giving them, let's say, better benefits or better ministerial position. This is called defection, and we will talk about that as well. Because of this, anti-defection law was brought. Now, because of this, that the politicians keep switching parties, keep finding loopholes, because of that, this brings instability in the government. And because the government is unstable, that will also bring instability in the country itself. So that is another challenge. So now if you're asked to write, I'll also give you a mains answer writing question where you'll have to, in introduction, talk about political parties, and in the body, one of the parts would be to talk about challenges of political parties, and these are the points that you will write. We will not take any specific names in our class. This is just to understand. Yes, very good, Ashish. This is called Ayaram Gayaram politics. Now there is, I think I have already explained anti-defection law in Polity Simplified series. You can go ahead and watch that as well, because in NCERT it is not given in depth. And as I told you that we will be sticking to the bounds of NCERT. In any case, we'll discuss this here as well. Yes. Schedule 10. Very good, Adi. Yes. Next. So because of all these problems, obviously we need reforms in political parties, right? And that is why some reforms have already been done. Some reforms are required to be done. So what kind of reforms have already been done? I told you about anti-defection law. So this has already been done because of Ayaram Gayaram politics, that politicians, after getting elected from a particular party, were changing the parties so frequently that the government would keep collapsing. And to stop that, anti-defection law was brought, right? So anti-defection law was introduced through 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act. One of you has written 10th schedule, that is right. So 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act, right? And it introduced 10th schedule in the Constitution that talks about anti-defection law. When was 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act brought? In 1985. You can write that as well here. In 1985, right? And this was enacted to prevent elected representatives from jumping parties or changing parties as frequently as they would. Defection simply means when an MP or MLA leaves the party that he or she has been elected from for another party for some personal benefits. That is called defection. And to avoid this, anti-defection was brought in. For the details, there are a lot of nuances in this and details in this. You can watch that Polity Simplified series. You'll find the details of anti-defection law there. It is not given in your NCERT as much. Yes, very good. Nowadays, political parties are easily doing by using their power and muscle. It will be challenging. How it will be challenging them? Beta, Madhu, can you just rephrase your question because I did not understand. I understood the part where you're saying that political parties are using power and muscle, but they were using it earlier as well. The thing about power is whoever gets power starts misusing power. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I'm sure you must have heard about it. So I did not understand your question. Can you write your question again? Rephrase it and write it again, okay? All right, the next reform that was brought about was disclosure of criminal cases and assets. As we saw that in the point where muscle and money was given, we saw that sometimes people with criminal history were also brought into political parties, right? So for that, there was another reform brought in which, to make elections more transparent, Supreme Court directed that all the candidates will have to give details of their property or assets or their criminal history, any cases pending against them, any liability or financial status, whatever details that we consider criminal or that we consider not so moral, they have to give all the details in an affidavit when they join a party. The purpose was simple, that voters should be informed what kind of candidate they are choosing, right? So that was a reform that was already brought in. Now there is one limitation to this, and the limitation is they have said that you have to give all the details of the affidavit, but they haven't introduced any mechanism as to how they would check these things. So there is no mechanism given to check these things, and that is a limitation in this. Next, Election Commission reforms. Political parties must hold organizational elections and file income tax return. What does that mean? Why do Election Commission need to file income tax return? Can anybody tell me? Why does Election Commission has made it mandatory that the political parties have to file income tax returns? Why is that important? Yes. Because we know that in politics and especially in campaigns, a lot of money is spent. So there has to be details of the money given to Election Commission so that they can make sure that there are no not so good activities that are going on, right? To make sure that to have the details of their income and expenditure, income tax return should be filed. Yes, to stop illegal property, right? To stop any illegal activity, black money. Yes, very good. So you already know. You just have to put everything in the words. So Election Commission has introduced some reforms to make political parties more transparent and democratic. They said that there should be internal elections. Hold organizational elections means they should have internal elections regularly so that the power is not concentrated in the hands of few leaders only. It is given to other people as well. And they should file income tax returns so that the details of their income and expenditure is clear. That information is clear and there is transparency. To ensure transparency. All right. Yes, very good. How and where they are spending money to ensure transparency, accountability, fairness. Yes, electoral bonds, that is not given in this chapter unfortunately, but we will talk about it sure when we get to the chapter where it is mentioned. Yes. So these are the reforms that have already been brought about. What are the reforms that are desired? Now that is another point. This again is very important for you to understand. What are the suggested reforms or what other reforms should be brought about? First is regulating internal affairs. What does that mean? political parties should maintain membership registers. We just saw that membership details were missing. There were no regular membership details. So political parties should keep records of who their members are. That detail has to be there so that there is no discrepancy or there is no lack of transparency. Next is follow their constitution. What does that mean? That every party has its own rules and regulations, right? Rules and regulations and procedures. So the party leaders should function in a way that those rules are followed. Next, establish independent authorities. What does that mean? That parties should create independent authorities so that their internal matters or their disputes can be solved. Otherwise, what will happen? Even though they have disputes and there is no independent authority to look over it, those people who already have the power will win and the dispute will still remain. So there should be an independent authority who will look into the matters or disputes within the political parties, within the parties, right? Next, hold transparent elections. Now, I don't think this is something that should be even discussed, that the internal elections that we talked about, that there should be internal elections, they should also be free and fair. Otherwise, what will happen? Same thing, that the power will still remain in the hands of those leaders only and it will not go to other people. Right. Okay. I hope all these points are clear to everyone. Do you have any questions regarding these? Do you have any questions regarding these? Next important point here, this was the first reform, that the internal affairs should be regulated. Second is women representation. Greater representation should be there for women as well. Now we know that we have reservation for women, right, at local level government. Now still women are underrepresented when it comes to political parties and legislatures. So to increase their participation, it is suggested that 1/3 of the tickets should be reserved for women, and women quotas should be given in party decision making bodies as well to increase the representation of women. Next reform, suggested reform, is state funding of elections. What does that mean? Government could support parties through petrol, paper and telephones. Meaning, see, there's a suggestion that has been made that government can provide certain facilities to political parties so that they can become more effective, right? And they depend less on donations from like you talked about black money, right? So they depend less on donations from private entities. So for that, they should be given some incentives. What kind of incentives? Like for petrol, so their travel expenses can be reduced if they have rebate, or the government could provide petrol. In that case, their travel expenses can be reduced. Then paper, to help print pamphlets or posters. For campaigns, they use pamphlets and posters. That also costs money, so paper can be provided to them. And third is telephones. What will that help in? That will assist parties in communication and organizational work. So this might seem like very basic sort of expenditure, but in political parties, when campaign is going on, these cause a lot of expenses. So if these are provided to political parties, they will have to take less money from private funding. And that will, again, if you're taking money from private funding, you might have to agree to their conditions. There might be something illegal going on and you have to agree to them because you need money anyway, right? So in order to ensure that there is transparency, in order to ensure that everything is going fair in political parties as well, their expenditure can be reduced by giving them some incentives in the form of petrol, paper and telephone. That is a suggestion that has been made, that this reform should be made. It is not made yet. Is it clear? Why they don't follow what they promise in their manifesto? Okay, let's understand human nature. Once somebody gets something from you, they will, of course, it's on them whether or not they keep their promises, right? So somebody promised you that, let's say, they will help you with your homework. If you do a work for them, you did the work. Now, whether or not they help you with your homework will depend on their conscience. And we as humans, especially in modern times, our conscience is weak, very weak. Just because you have promised something doesn't mean you intend to do it, first. Second, there could be financial constraints. There could be financial constraints, and there are so many people which are included in the whole process, decision-making process or law-making process or helping process. And just because one person wants to do it doesn't matter, everybody else would also want to do it, right? So there are so many nuances here which come at play. then the question comes, then why are they promising? They're promising because they know that these promises, once made, will help them get what they want, which is votes. Okay. Next is, now these are the suggested reforms. What are the limits of legal reforms? What are the limits? First, excessive regulation can be counterproductive. Political parties may find ways to bypass laws, and parties are unlikely to pass laws that harm their interests. See, if we talk about the limits, we have given them different kind of suggestions as to what reforms they should bring. But if we keep trying to control everything, that can become counterproductive. They can try to find loopholes. We have studied in the past as well that people keep finding loopholes, right? So here also, if you're trying to control them quite a lot, they'll start finding loopholes. And in any way, they are not going to do that is anything that is against their interest. So if they know that something is going to harm their the benefits that they are going to get, they will not do it, no matter how noble that is. So these are the limits of legal reforms. You can suggest them, but they can be harming, they can be too controlling. So it will act as counterproductive measures, right? Okay. It will increase the overall expense. Okay, before we go ahead, we have 50%, up to 50% sale going on right now, and today is the last day. So if you haven't availed that offer, please go ahead and avail it. These are available on this sale is available for all online live courses for UPSC, PCS, teaching exam, judiciary, SSC, CUET exam, and right now they're all available at very affordable prices. So some of you said that you would wish to join our institute, so please go ahead and join them. You can call on this number 87501 87501. Call them and you will be able to join us. Next, what are the other ways to reform political parties? Okay, so we have given suggestions, but just because we have given suggestions to reform political parties does not mean that they are going to reform, right? What else can you do? You can put pressure. How? Public pressure through citizens, media, pressure groups, movements, organize petitions, create awareness, launch agitations. I'm sure all of you must be aware of it. It is very in right now. Then greater public participation. Democracy improves when ordinary citizen starts participating. When ordinary citizen starts participating, then democracy improves, because democracy is all about participation and engagement. If they're not listening, make them listen. So when they actively participate in politics instead of merely criticizing it, then the democracy becomes better. Democracy does not become better by simply cursing them, right? Cursing the people involved. It becomes better by more and better politics. That means it can be solved. The problems can be solved when more people engage or interact in democratic policies, these public offices and political parties in the political system of our country, rather than simply cursing them and going on with your life. So participation or engagement is required. Now, before we move ahead, do you have any questions related to this? Then we will solve some prelims question. Thank you so much, Sanjay. How to avoid sleepiness and fatigue while studying? Maybe you are studying more than an hour or so. See, our brain has capacity. The focus increases in the first few minutes, then it starts dropping. The moment you feel like your focus is dropping, do not force yourself to sit there. What you can do is go for a walk for 1 minute. That's it. Go and roam around in your house, drink some water. Or what you can do is, when we look at the screens or when we look at books or notebooks for a very long time, and they are short distance, right? When we do that for a very long time, our eyes and brain gets tired. So you can look at something outside the window which is far away. Just look at it for some time, maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds or a minute, and then come back and try to study. Or if you have already studied for 4-5 hours like this, what you can do is take a nap. During naps, your memory consolidates. Meaning, if I keep studying the whole day, maybe I will not be able to remember so much. But if I keep taking regular naps in between, 5-10 minutes nap, I don't do anything. I don't even sleep. I just close my eyes and lie down. In that case, in those 5 minutes or 10-minute duration, your brain quickly revises everything that it has studied. So it is scientifically proven to increase memory and retention. What else you can do? If you find that it is difficult for you to focus, you can use a technique called Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro. I still use it because I like studying. So if sometimes I feel like my focus is not that great, I use this technique. In Pomodoro technique, what happens is you study for 25 minutes, then you take 5-minute break. There are so many apps that are available on both Android and iOS. So you can simply download those focus meters or focus to do apps. They have 25-minute timer. Just switch on the timer. In that 25-minute, you're not supposed to do anything. You're not going anywhere. You're not talking to anyone. As long as the timer is on, you're not doing anything. You will be only studying. And let's say for the first few days, it is difficult for you to focus. Even then, for 25 minutes, don't do anything. Just keep looking at your book. Try to read it, right? Even if you don't understand, read it aloud. So do that. And then when the timer goes off and you are given a 5-minute break, then just take a break. Then don't continue. So you will be training your brain to focus in that 25 minutes, and that is going to be very helpful for you. This is called Pomodoro technique. There are so many techniques that you can use. You can use spaced repetition to increase memory. So for now, if you are, that's not called a nap. You can lie down, but you may not be sleeping. So for now, just what you need to do is take small durations where you study, 5-minute break, then 25-minute study, then 5-minute break. Do that repeatedly for 2-3 days. Then you can increase the timings also depending on your comfort level. Don't push yourself unnecessarily. If you know that your brain is not working, go for a walk, drink a glass of water. That's it. That will help you. Then, okay, so you're saying that you keep sleeping for the whole day, then eat something. Maybe you're hypoglycemic. All right, let's continue. For UPSC, no, but what you're saying is right now you have difficulty in focusing, right? Your exam is not tomorrow. This increases. The focus keeps on increasing when you use techniques. So let's say you start today, you will realize that after a month, your focus has increased, your duration, the duration for which you sit has increased. So that takes some time. If you start today, you're going to improve anyway. And with each passing day, your capacity to sit for long hours, it will keep increasing. But you have to start somewhere. So start small. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Now, next is the prelims practice questions. We will practice some questions. The first question is, which of the following best describes partisanship? This is something we studied yesterday. You will tell me the answer now. Option number A, remaining neutral on political issues. B, taking decisions independently of political parties. C, strong loyalty towards a political party or group, often at the cost of objectivity. D, contesting elections as an independent candidate. Which is the answer? We have studied it yesterday. I expect you all to answer correctly. Yes. What is the answer? Okay, so you answer this question, then I'll answer your question. Solitary strategist. Madhu, I did not explain just one challenge. There were 4 challenges that we discussed. And political parties have been using everything that they can to win for a very long time. It's not something new. Yes, never underestimate slow process or slow progress also. Slow progress is still progress. Stop judging yourself on that. Just start small and steady. Do it every day. That's it. That will help you a lot. Studying also, it's like training your brain. Your brain, once you train it well, you can do whatever you want. It's very powerful organ. Yes. So, right, all of you have answered C, strong loyalty towards a political party or group, even at the cost of objectivity. What does that mean? Even if they are wrong, it does not matter. Partisanship means that I am strongly loyal to a political party, and whatever other political party is saying is wrong for me. That is partisanship. We have studied it yesterday. One of the questions that you asked was, all the PDFs are in mobile. When you start studying particular topic, notifications are distracting. Yes, which is why in these apps that I talked about, focus meter or focus to do apps are there. There is a strong mode, or there's one mode in which all your notifications are pushed. You will not get notifications in that mode. So you have to start that mode, or you can put your phone on flight mode. That you can do, right? Once you have opened the PDF, then you don't need internet. Open the PDF and then put it on flight mode and open the app focus meter, switch it on, start studying. It's just about 25 minutes. After that, you can check your notification for 5 minutes, right? So that's something you have to do yourself, because this is not an offline center where you're studying. So there is no teacher who's keeping an eye on you. So you have to be your teacher. Okay. Next question is, consider the following statements regarding social diversity and democracy in India. First, social diversity has enabled greater political participation of marginalized groups. Second, social diversity always strengthens democracy. And third, democracy can become divisive when identities are exploited for political gain. You have to tell me which of these is correct. Yes. Option A is 1 and 2, B is 2 and 3, C is 1 and 3, and D is 1, 2 and 3. I'm sure you can answer it as well if you really pay a little bit of attention. You can answer it easily. We have studied this. Yes, what is the answer? I'll just move from the screen so that you can see the question. What is the answer? B. Okay. That is second and third. Second and third are correct. What about others? B. Okay, most of you have answered B. Let's see. First says, social diversity has enabled greater political participation of marginalized group. Is this wrong? C. C means 1 and 3. Okay. Most of you have answered B. Alright, let's discuss. First says, social diversity has enabled greater political participation of marginalized group. Let's understand this first because it looks complicated, right? This means there is social diversity, we know that. There are diverse people, religion, customs, etc. in our country. This has enabled greater political participation of marginalized groups. Didn't we see that because of diversity now and because we have a constitution which gives equal chance to everyone, even marginalized groups are now being represented in the political parties? We did study that, so this is right. It just looked complicated. Second is, social diversity always strengthens democracy. Is that correct? Most of you have answered B, which means for you, second is correct. What did I tell you? Whenever you find extreme words, always, only, in such cases, always be very, very careful. In most of the cases, that is 99% of the cases, these are generally wrong. Let's understand this, why this is wrong. It says social diversity always strengthens democracy, but we saw that social diversity can strengthen democracy or can be divisive as well. We did study that, right? Because there are so many different religion, customs, language, there are people from different walks of life, they are living together. It can strengthen our democracy, but at the same time, it can also be divisive. People can fight amongst themselves. People can have conflicts because everybody is different. Then there is problems such as partisanship, where people feel their loyalty towards one particular group or one particular political party, and they feel like every other political party is wrong. Or there are problems like communalism. We have studied all these things, right? So it can strengthen, yes, but at the same time it can also be divisive. So it will always strengthen democracy? No. We can see the example from our country itself. There are many elements which usually focus on communalism. Many communities, many people you will see in walks of life, in your everyday walk of life, you will meet people who will say, oh, our community, our caste, our religion is the best, and the rest of them are either inferior or they're not good or they're wrong. I've seen people say such extreme statements as well. So it can strengthen, yes, but at the same time it can be divisive also. So this is wrong. Next, democracy can become divisive when identities are exploited for political gain. That is true. What does it mean? Vote politics. For vote politics, what they do is they'll start saying, oh, I belong to your community, I belong to your caste, you should be voting for me because our caste has been or our community has been so disadvantaged for such a long time. Those people are wrong who have wronged us, and things like that. Right? They can say n number of things to divide our society, to divide all of us, to divide us Indians into different caste, groups, communities, etc. for their political gain, and that because of this, it can become divisive also. So this is right. So one of you said C, and that is right. First and third is the right answer, not second and third or first or second. Okay? Great. It's okay. You can be confused. It's all right. That's why these questions are here, so that you don't get confused in the examination. And I will urge all of you to write in English. This is an English class, then why are you writing in Hindi? See, let's go back to school. Okay, this is an English channel, and anyway you have to also attempt compulsory English in mains examination, right? So why not get comfortable with it? Next, which of the following are constructive outcomes of caste-based democratic politics? Because of caste-based democratic politics, which are the constructive outcomes? Meaning we have to focus on the positives of it. I told you when caste is included in politics, there are positive effects also, there are negative effects also. We have studied this in the previous, I think in the previous class, we studied this. I gave you a question also, how caste or gender or or there was one more thing I forgot. When they are included in sex, when they are included in politics, they can have both positive and negatives. So you have to tell me the constructive outcomes of caste-based democratic politics. First is political empowerment of SC, ST and OBCs. Second, greater political participation. Third, reservation in legislatures and government institutions. Yes. What is the right answer? It does not matter. See, you have to practice anyway. It doesn't have to be proficient or it doesn't have to be perfect. It does not matter at all. You anyway have to write. So why not remove this hesitation? First thing in any language is remove the hesitation. For that you need to start somewhere, right? Okay. D, which means all three of them. Yes, you're right. All three are the constructive outcomes. All three are the positive outcomes of caste-based democratic politics. That is absolutely right. Now, this is a question for your, okay, our time is also up. So, I'll give you a question for mains answer writing, and I expect all of you to give me the framework in the comment section. See, I told you I can only teach you, and in online sessions, you have to be your own teacher at home. So, I can give you mains based questions, but you have to write the framework at least so that you can get comfortable with the idea of writing answers, right? So the question is, political parties are indispensable to the functioning of modern democracy, yet they face several structural and institutional challenges. Discuss the role of political parties in India and examine the reforms needed to strengthen them. You have to write the framework of this question in the comment section below. In tomorrow's session, again at 6 p.m. sharp, first we will discuss this, then we will move on to the next chapter of this class 10th polity, right? But you will have to give me the framework of this question in the comment section below. I will be checking them myself. Yes, start brainstorming. Do you have any questions from today's session? Now you can ask your questions. I try to look at the comments, but there are so many of them that a lot of them get missed while I'm teaching. Yes, sure. Take a screenshot. I'll move from the screen. You can take the screenshot of it. Anyway, I'll get the team to post this PDF in Telegram group as well. If you haven't joined the Telegram group, please join the Telegram group. You will find the description of that in the description box below. Join that. I'll make sure that this PDF is posted there. Okay, my name is Rajni Jha. Alright, so that's it for today's session. I will see you again tomorrow at 6 p.m. sharp. For those of you who are new, let me just reiterate it. We have our new NCERT classes every day live at 6 p.m. sharp from Monday to Friday. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, take care.